Do you take Sean to live together in the union of marriage, to take him as your best friend and partner in life?
I do.
Sean, do you take Nicole to live together in the union of marriage, to take her as your best friend and partner in life?
I do.
For better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, till death to our part. Hello and welcome to another edition of the show Marital Vow. Marital Vow is where we discuss about relationship or marriage issue, how important it is in our lives. On today's edition, I have with me in studio Edwin Clarke. Our today's topic is failure in marriage. But before we get to that, I'm Veronica Carter, your host. Let's take a break and be right back.
Do you take Sean to live together in the union of marriage, to take him as your best friend and partner in life?
I do.
Sean, do you take Nicole to live together in the union of marriage, to take her as your best friend and partner in life?
I do.
Welcome back on the show Marital Vow. Like I said, our today's guest is Edwin Clarke, and our topic will be failure in marriage. Mr. Clarke, welcome.
Well, it's a pleasure being here this morning. I'd like to extend my thanks and appreciation to the management of this great institution, and it's an opportunity being here this morning to discuss such a great topic. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. That's the main Edwin Clarke for you. And our last topic, I know you are aware our topic is failure in marriage,
Yeah,
right?
yes, sir.
But our last show, we discussed about communication in marriage. I just want for all to just discuss like 10 minutes of our time about communication, and we have some feedback. So what do you think about communication in relationship? What are some of the roles communication play?
Well, thank you very much. Marriage is one of the greatest institutions in the world, ordained, fulfilled by God's own command. So as human, if you decide to enter into marriage, it means that you have committed everything unto God. You have put aside every other stuff that you are involved in because you want to be in line with what marriage demands scripturally. We go in the book of Genesis chapter 2 verse 24, there where the issue of marriage first started, when Genesis tells us that a man shall leave his father and mother and cleave unto his wife, and the both shall become one flesh. Then in the New Testament, in the book of Ephesians, Paul also reminded us that the wife he submit to a husband, because the husband is the head of the home, just as Christ is the head of the church. So from these two biblical perspectives, we consider marriage as a biblical institution that when one enters, he or she must be in the position always to do things straight in line with biblical principle. Now coming to your question about communications in marriage. All the failures in marriage today, the biggest fault is the issue of the lack of communication.
Okay.
Because if you find yourself into a marriage and the couples are not relating, are not communicating, are not relating to each other through communication, it brings about serious problem in the marriage, and it leads to a number of issues. It leads to separation. It leads to divorce. So communication in marriage is very important, because why? Communication in a sense strengthens marriage. Communication in a sense of bring the couple together, bring the relationship stronger. And communication in a sense bring about a united family in one direction, one goal. So communication is a foremost priority in any marriage. If a marriage must last to the end of time, communication is the key factor. All other things will come, but communication is key. Relating to your spouse, relating to your children, relating to your wife, relating to your husband, They are all important, and that forms part of communication.
So that's me. You're trying to say that without communication, relationship cannot stand.
It's obvious. It's obvious because how will you be in a relationship if people don't communicate? And as a human as a whole, whether you're single life and you have a relationship and the both of you don't communicate, how does that relationship work? It doesn't work. So the topic being discussed is about marriage, failures in marriage, and communication will always find itself in relationship, yeah, marriage. So communication is important because if you don't communicate, you don't see your marriage yielding fruit or result because communication must be important. You must communicate every day, every time above the day. You must communicate to one another to ensure that things are work out in the right way.
Okay, there's a saying I say that woman is the one that keep the home. So in a sense that communication have to go, I believe that communication have to go both sides. So if you say woman is the one that keep the home, you not expect the woman to be the one to always communicate. I think so.
Well, that's is Liberian parable or saying that if you want a marriage to hold, the woman must take the responsibility to do that. But I don't take up to that belief because a marriage simply means that if the two come together, automatically you are one.
Okay.
One. Since you are one, everything about the marriage about the two of you. So you can rest one burden on another partner, then you say because you are the woman, you want to keep the marriage. No. Communication works both ways. The male should communicate, the female should communicate, the husband should communicate, the wife should communicate. And the best thing is that to engage your partner. If you see something unfold in the marriage that you feel will hamper the marriage, it is very important that you communicate with your partner. And so at times we talk about communication. Communication is not only about distant talk, phone talks, and so forth. Intimacy plays a lot. One-on-one discussion, bedtime discussion. These are attributes in communication that builds the relationship. It's not about calling your phone, oh, you did this to me. No. But face-to-face discussion in terms of intimacy, they are key attributes to strengthening relationship. To strengthening communication in marriages. So if these things are not done, you just have communication on the surface, but communication must be on the basis of strong intimacy and commitment to what you do and say.
Okay, I asked that question based on one of our feedbacks that we get during our show communication, and it's coming from Peter. I'm not going to call his last name for security reason. What he said, and it reads, "I'm really in love with your show as it relates to most powerful tools, communications. Many young people are entering into relationship today with a motive to explore, not for a purpose of working together to grow and have ownership. I have conducted a survey and realized that single parents, mostly women with children, are struggling with their children. To support them and the children do not know their fathers. Neither identify their fathers. The reason is very simple. Today, young women in relationship want to run competition with men. Whenever the man goes out, they do sin, etc. There is a biblical quote that says, and I quote, 'Woman, your body is your prayer.' Most of young women do not realize that their body is a prayer. Of course, no man want to have a woman that will be discussed in public gatherings. I'm not being biased by siding with men, but women have limited time to homes than men. A woman between age of 25 to 30 or 35, if not married at that age, then you need to keep your hopes up high to have permanent relationship. Another thought I see about with most young women is this issue of choices. Sometimes a guy will fall in love with them and enter into a relationship and give all their heart for them, and they will hurt him and even go as pushing him away, and he have to walk away. This is my opinion. So that was what Peter said. And asked about he been being biased. He said he's not being biased because if you're talking about women, you have to talk about men too.
Well, I think that's the view of Peter, and in his view, in a sense, he's very frank on how he sees marriage with more emphasis on the women. But I think from what Peter said, most of his analysis are drawn from societal issues.
Okay.
Yeah, societal issues play a major role in marriage. So I think Peter came with a conclusion from the society point of view. You see, as stated earlier, marriage is the one of the waiting mind. You have to be emotionally inclined, you have to be physically inclined, and to be spiritually inclined. If you are not spiritually, emotionally, physically inclined, society will tempt you. And when society decides to tempt you, you will strengthen your marriage. So that doesn't also go to women. They said marry oneness. The example he talked about women, those things are where fall on the side of man. Fall on the side of man. For example, we talk about time, I'm talking about communication in marriage. But another issue in marriage is the issue of time. Time is important. The Bible also talk about time. If you're in a marriage and the both partners don't have time for each other, it affects the marriage. And because of that, if you take 80 to 90% of your time dedicated to other issues outside of your marriage, so the other partner sit and does not have that time of conversation, you are creating room for what we call interference, you are creating room for what we call penetration, and just name them. And we are all human. We are all weak vessels of the Lord. So at the end of the day, if you don't give your marriage the time that it needs, you have something on the blind side will interfere in your marriage. So that particular issue does not only relate to women. It goes to both sides, both the husband and the wife. So time is a crucial part of marriage. Because if you spend time with your wife, you spend time with your husband, there will be no need for societal interference. Because you see, most of the marriages you see they're breaking away, it's because that couple has seen somebody that is giving him or her the time, the attention, the everything. So end of this, if this guy or is this lady can give me this quality of time, and the person who I marry is not giving that time, I think, let me go this way. So I think in strengthening marriage, time is important, likewise communication is. So for his analysis, I think it should be on the both sides. And that analysis he gave, it focused on the lack of time in relationship. Any attempt to escape in providing time for your wife and your husband, you are creating room for opportunity of distraction.
Okay, that's true because other people believe that okay, women get older past men. So that's what they believe. So that's it. Communication is important in relationship. Now to our main topic, which is failure in marriage.
Yeah.
What are some of the before I go to that topic here first, I want to ask Mr. Clarke, how many years you been married for?
Oh, it's a very good question. I've been married for the past 11 years.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a lot of years. I know your marriage is going smoothly because
Yeah.
it is true that
got married in a young age and
Okay.
stuff. My wife, there's no perfect stuff in marriage.
okay.
So, but by the grace of God, we are going through.
That's nice. That's another example too. At the 11 years, it's not a little year. People can just saying the words is another thing,
Yes,
but
sir.
implementing the word is another thing. So our topic is what are failure in marriage. So what are some of the causes of marriage to fail today?
Well, there are a lot of attributes
Okay.
that come into play when it comes to failures in marriage, but I will give you three. We'll talk about one already.
Okay.
You see, marriage. The first issue of communication, issue of time, and issue of commitment. That we refer to as the CTC,
Okay.
the CTC marriage. Communication, time, and commitment. So we already talked about communication. Communication is the first pillar in marriage.
Okay.
Always communicate to your spouse, whether good or bad, whether it's a setback, whether it's something good for the family, it must be communicated. Because why? If you don't communicate in your relationship, you get something we call the red flag. Red flag number one is the issue of doubts. You build doubts in your relationship, you are creating room for suspicion. Secondly, it creates what we call excessive jealousy.
Okay, excessive jealousy. If you
Yeah,
create
so-
excessive jealousy, but before I know everybody want to see or hear but before we go to that, we will take a break and be right back. It create excessive jealousy. Let's take a break and be right back.
Do you take Sean to live together in the union of marriage, to take him as your best friend and partner in life?
I do.
Sean, do you take Nicole to live together in the union of marriage, to take her as your best friend and partner in life?
I do.
Welcome back on the show Marital Vow. The topic remains failure in marriage. Mr. Clarke, you are talking about excessive jealousy before we take a break.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. We're talking the issue of some of the causes of marriage, failures of marriage, and we talk about the CTC, the communication, the term, and the commitment. And communication,
Okay.
if you're in a marriage and there's no communication in marriage, it builds up two things in what we call the red flag. And under the red flag, we have what we call excessive jealousy,
Okay.
and we have what we call frequent lies.
Okay.
Because in your relationship, if you stop communicating, it comes about doubt. And when doubt grows in a relationship, you start thinking about all sort of things, and jealousy start to grow. When jealousy start to grow, one part of the relationship will say, what's going on? What's going on? He's not telling me. So at the end of the day, the perception start to grow in the relationship. It kills the relationship. And the next one, the day you stay in front of your couple, you only want to explain things, nothing but lies will come about. So at the end of the day, these are the red flag relationship, because you fail at the initial stage of the relationship to communicate to your couple. Because you didn't communicate, it created the red flag. And what are the red flag? The red flag is excessive jealousy, and what? Frequent lies. Then the next one is issue of time.
Okay.
I'm talking about time. Time is of key fighting relationship. Both partners. I don't take all your time, whether you to work or you to this place, and you're dedicated to that, and forget about your home, forget about your wife, even your children. Let move your wife or your husband. Even your children, the children need time with you. They need time with you. But time is critical in relationship, because it is during the presence of time you both share ideas, you both share intimacy, you both do a lot of things in common on the basis of time. But these two things that are called communication and time in relationship, that one thing that strengthens them. And this one thing is what we call commitment.
Okay.
Yes. If you don't have the commitment, communication won't work in your relationship. If you don't have the commitment, time won't work in your relationship, because what? You have to sacrifice. You have to sacrifice, because at the back of your mind, the only thing you want to ensure happening in your relationship is that the relationship must hold, and the relationship must not fail. Because if the relationship fails, it fails on the basis of lack of communication and time. But what can strengthen them is the issue of commitment. You should dedicate everything, your sacrifices, your everything should be dedicated in your commitment to in your time, in your communication, in your relationship. So if the commitment is not there, but just on the surface, oh yeah, we'll talk, we'll get time, the other one, but that thing you're talking, you don't see the commitment, you don't see the sacrifices, you don't see the dedication to what you do or say.
Okay, you stated three things, and I grabbed one of the things and
Yeah.
talking about lies in relationship. You know, I believe, for my own observations, I believe that when you are in a relationship, before you get into that relationship, everything about you should tell your partners. Because I believe if you tell your partners, okay, XYZ, I've been into this, I did this, I do that, and it will help in a sense, like if the day your partner discovered that thing, he already has known that, okay, my wife or my girlfriend told me XYZ, so it's not strange. But It have the negative and the positive. That's the positive. But the negative side, not all men stays it, I believe. Because some men, if you tell them about your past, they will quit that relationship. But I say mature men don't quit. You say, okay, because if you love a person, you should love everything about that person, includes the person past.
Yeah, that was when we started the discussion, I went back to biblical reference. That
Okay.
if you decide to go on an altar and make a commitment that I'm entering into a holy matrimony, into a marriage, that means you are forsaking every other thing. You are forsaking the past.
Okay.
Whenever, it's good that you brought it up. When you continue to bring about your past in your marriage, it affects the marriage. It affects the marriage. Don't be in your relationship all the time, you're talking about your ex. Don't be married all the time, you're talking about your ex. Your ex was this, your ex was that. No. It affects the marriage psychologically. So that's not considered. But you talk about entering marriage and you start to observe a number of stuff. You know, there are two things. It's quick to discover the character of an individual than the behavior, right? Because for now, when we come to the office, we spend 1 week, 2 weeks, a month, I will discover your character right away.
Okay.
But it'll be very difficult to discover my behavior.
Okay.
Why? Because it takes time to discover people's behavior until the intimacy is there. And that mostly happens in marriage. So most people make mistake between character and behavior. Because if you can't tell me you enter a marriage and you don't know the character of that person. Because it is within character you get behavior, right?
Okay.
So when you enter that relationship, enter that marriage, you already get it back on your mind. I know my wife's character. I know my husband's character. But that character goes beyond that. In the marriage where you both of you have sat down, you have gone in the relationship for 4 to 5 years, then you start to see things from Veronica that you didn't see all the time you were together. You start to see things from Edwin that you didn't see all the time together, then that alone start to work. They seem red flag we talk about. But so long you enter that marriage,
Okay.
you should be able to maintain, control, and manage that. Because get to know your behavior is never seen automatically unlike your character. So at the end of the day, you should be able to manage that behavior on the part of your wife or your husband. Because what behavior is the last thing to see. So behavior on the part of your husband should not be something that will take away the marriage. No. What you can do is to continue the communication. So you do this, you do that. This doesn't work for me. I think we can work on it. And that person, we're all human. You see, we read between the lines. And what my wife says, she doesn't like that. What my husband says, he doesn't like that thing. We can work on it. But how does it work? It only work through communication. But don't see the behavior. Don't experience the behavior. Then keep it to yourself. And when you keep it to yourself, you are building serious mountain. Because the day the mountain overflow or the river overflow, no, you won't stand anymore. Constant communication is needed. Whether you discover something in the midst of the behavior, engage your partner, talk on it every day. At the end of the day, that behavior on the part of your partner will be eradicated.
Okay, I like the power you said that, don't discover something and keep it to yourself.
Sure.
I believe in life there are two types of people, in the sense like if you did something to me and I approach you, or you did XYZ to me, depends the way you will handle it mature way. If it's someone I can handle it mature way, I will approach you on that. But if I discover that when it comes to that aspect of life, you don't handle things mature way, I don't think, or do you think that it is important for me to tell you, in a sense like your behavior, the way in which you will behave when I tell you, or there will be no maturity in handling that problem?
You see, it depends on the manner and form in which the approach was made.
Okay.
You live with your husband or you live with your wife for the past 5 to 10 years. There is enough time to discover his happiness, his sadness, and the time he gets angry. As a husband or as a wife, you know when your husband is happy, you know when your husband is angry, you know when your wife is likewise. And 5 to 10 years is sufficient years to determine that. We talk about behavior and character. So it depends how you approach. If I am at home and I discover something on part of my wife, and I know how to catch her, which situation to engage her on it, that she will relate to me as we come to that, I'll wait for that time. I wait for that time. I either wait when you're in your happy mood, or if the issue relating to anger, then I bring it up and so forth. But no, most of it doesn't relate to anger time. It relates to what? The happiest time in the marriage. The happiest time where she found herself or where he found himself is the appropriate time to bring. But don't bring it out when you know your opposite, your partner, is not in a good mood. Then you bring it out. No, it will flare out. But you get the amount in which you can do the approach is necessary. Because if you go and the man is, oh, you know, most body they can talk, you know, you were in this stuff, I discovered this, you've been doing all this stuff to me. No. You don't know. And secondly, you have to know your partner anger. He responds. Anger management. Who is he? Who is she? How does he respond to the issue? You should know that. But if you want the matter to be solved in an amicable position and direction, you wait for the appropriate time to engage your partner and bring that to your attention. But don't wait for the more disastrous time. Don't wait for the more fragile time in a relationship to bring these things out. Wait for the appropriate time where you think your partner will be answerable. You'll be related to you. You'll be free to relate to you. But don't bring it in the time of the ambush.
Okay, you said something. You said this, that stuff, and some marriages or some relationship, marriages said some people will say, okay, when we were in our single lives, things was okay for all.
Okay.
We relate to one another. We understand one another. Even to our marriage, we got married, right? There is no children. The marriage is perfect. The men come home regularly. You guys go out and stuff like that. Everything, and people, even your neighbors, admire that relationship. But now, this is my point. When children or child comes into it, everything change.
I don't know from which perspective.
Okay, what I'm saying, the person will say that, okay, the woman will say, okay, when we're in our single life, you used to give me money, you used to do that. But in a sense that when children come into the picture, the man way of paying attention to that woman come down. Then the woman will start complaining, oh, when we're in our single life, you used to give me this, you used to give me that, but this time now, everything is the children, it's the children, it's the children. It starts to bring problems in relationship.
Well, I thought you were talking the other way about
no. I believe that at that time it's not the man. At that time he focusing on the children, but it also caused problem in that relationship.
Well, I was reading a documentary on I think it came in 2019.
Okay.
On how women relate to relationship.
Okay.
How women relate to relationship, and that issue we talk about came about. You see, women are different creatures. I would say women are selfish creatures, not from a negative perspective.
Okay.
Yeah. Women need everything they think that they need. Okay. That's one of the key attributes of a woman. They need everything they think that they need. And that one thing they need all the best of life. They need their attention. But the way you say, single life is not marriage life. Well, in single life, we did what we could do. Single life, I wasn't answerable to you.
Okay.
You were answerable to me. But you enter marriage, I'm answerable to you. You answerable to what? To me. And we have one responsibility. And that one responsibility is that we should take care of our responsibility to protect and manage the welfare of our children. Because the Bible talk about some of the reasons why people get together to marry. You say what? Go and multiply.
Okay.
Born children, right? And born those children, just to born them and neglect them. It's a responsibility to take care of them. But that also doesn't neglect the fight on the part of the man or the husband not to cater to his wife. But we'll go back to the same thing of communication. Mm-hmm. Communication will continue to repeat itself whatever we discussed today. But communication is important. You know, for example, when you're in your single life, you said at that time there were no children and so forth. So responsibility in a sense was lessened, right? Mm-hmm. So everything we had was just focusing on the woman. Then you enter your marriage life, boom. First time you got 1, got 2, 3, you have 4, 5 children. So that responsibility was given to the woman in terms of what she needed this and that, it will reduce. How do you do that? You call madam to a communication meeting in the bed in the midnight hour. Madam, can we have a talk? In the midst of this, in the midst of that, We know when we come together, all the stuff is so happy, but now we have children. We have to take care of them, the medical insurance, the health insurance, going to school, and it's the amount we're making. How can we utilize it to ensure our children benefit from that?
One of the major thing that I see that causes marital fail is sexual intercourse. In a sense that if you start this relationship with that aspect of life, I believe in marriage you have to end it. Because I listened to a case like that, and a woman said that, oh, the man can hammer me for sex with me too much, and I work all day, take care of the children had to go to school, then at night he wants sex. And I said, did you started that relationship with it? Because if you started something like 2 or 3 times a day or 2 or 3 times a night, I believe you have to end it. So thing that you will not end, don't start.
Well, I want to believe sex in marriage is an agreement. Yeah.
Okay.
It's an agreement. You see, but we just build suspicion on a number of things. But sex in relation, marriage is very, very important. But it should be a consensus.
Okay.
The both parties should be waiting to enter into that. And it's also important to respect the views and the decision of the other partner, not all the time. The way you said, it's at times it happens. You might go to work today, for example, while you're working from the morning to in the evening, don't go back to the same thing of communication. So some people get tired at times in the room, lying down after a whole day work. Say, honey, I'm beat up today. So that man, in a sense, will understand, but you see, the man play a major role.
Okay.
The man play a major role. When you start to think, we went back to the issue of what we call excessive jealousy, right?
Okay.
Yeah, that's a red flag.
Because today our topic is basically on the 3 things that you said. That's where my question is coming from.
Excessive jealousy. So, if you as a man or a woman, you don't do strong analysis, you go back to what we call excessive jealousy, then you start to think all those sort of things. Oh, I should started to cheat. Is he involved in another relationship? So the time is not there to give him, like intimacy is no more there. No. You have to sit and calculate where. Know the kind of work your husband do, know the kind of work your wife is involved in. If the work is tedious or so, take that into account. But not all the time to build a suspicion that, oh, if I don't do this, but at the end of the day, some of the relationship falls on the basis of sex.
Okay.
Yes. Why? The question is why? Why some of the relationship fall on the basis of sex? Scripture says that you don't have fornication before you enter into marriage.
Okay.
Right? So, like Berin said, you don't buy the pig in the bed.
Yeah, don't buy a pig in bed.
So, if I don't buy the pig in the bed, how will I know the pig I'm buying, right? So, you're in a relationship, you don't know the sexual appetite.
Okay.
Or the sexual condition of your partner. You're in a relationship and you want to have something. And you notice something on the contrary.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, you start to play it psychologically. So is this what I'm going through for the rest of my life? So at the end of the day, how can you do? Can you find a solution to that? See whether the problem is a medical problem.
Okay.
Discuss it with your partner. How medically they can be solved. If all of that is done and there's no solution, then they say marriage is we are for one, for better, for worse. That's somebody was there. So what do? You stay in the marriage and see how best you can try to console yourself and see how best. That's it. But seriously, sex is a powerful instrument in marriage. Powerful instrument in marriage. By the end of the day, the both parties should be able to communicate. You go down all the time when your wife say I'm tired, you don't think otherwise. Your husband say I'm tired, you don't think otherwise. So there's a saying that when I was single, the way you used to give me it, how you might give me it. Whilst I give men this social media discussion, why more men go outside from a relationship and for sexual reasons, because men married already. Come across a young girl, and the young girl certifies in where what wife cannot do. So that also doesn't give you the right to do that. If what your friend when you were single is to satisfy you, but you both married now, and what you used to get during the single life, you're not getting it now. Continue the discussion. What's going on? Is there a reason? And some of the reasons why you see the opposite sex or the partner on the other side will come reluctant to sex, it is based on what the lack of time with the partner, based on the lack of what communication with the partner, based on the lack of commitment. All these things not happen, but we rather you creep. When you want to creep on the wife or you creep the husband and say no. That doesn't work with me. That doesn't work because what? That person feel that there's no respect in a relationship. You only want me when you want something from me. There's no time in the relationship. There's no communication in the relationship. There's no commitment in the relationship. We're not talking. We're not communicating. There's no intimacy. There's no bond together. Because if you don't have that, how sexual will you be? Even you go through that with your husband, your wife, that romance, that stuff, not there. You go on one shot because what? The intimacy is not there. And what kills the intimacy is a lack of communication. It's key. For example, in some homes and in some marriages, they both partner, they know the code. Say, madam, this is it. She knows what's up. Right? Then you get a reply. If the yes, she will tell you, say, okay, you give the code. If the no, she will tell you that. Then that's when it's clear. Right? But if that intimacy is not there, that channel of communication, that time, that commitment is not there, and when you do advances, there will be resistance. So you also take that into account. So to solve the issue of sex in marriage, you first start with the issue of commitment to your relationship, the issue of time with your relationship, the issue of communication. Because if all these things fall along the wayside, you have your partner be is happy to go with you on the basis of sex, because sex is all about happiness, to release some of the stress and so forth. So you go there because I want to go there now. And some people, they do that involuntarily. Oh yeah. But you get there, but the mind is not there. You're doing it because I want to do it. But sex is oneness. It's spiritual. It's something that builds, strengthens your bonds. But if that's not happening, it kills the relationship. But the only thing that protect it will go back to what we call the CTC. The communication, the time, and that of the commitment relationship.
Okay, that's nice, because even if sex comes into the picture and it bringing conflict, I believe that the woman have to settle or the man have to settle, and they have to make an agreement, because the Bible said, talk it in the book of James 1 verse 2 to 9.
So
it talk about, yeah,
so that vote on the basis of sex. We don't have to sex life.
it also talk about patience. And I listened to a proverb or a case before, like a pastor that was solving on social media, and the woman said the man don't have feeling for her, in the sense like when they were newly wedded, even when she enter in the bathroom, she come back, the man he have the feeling that he want to do something. But these days, even no matter how she can naked herself, the man nothing. And she feel that, okay, what's going on with my husband? Maybe my husband and he's sick, or something happened, because he not relating to me. And when the pastor asked the guy, one thing the guy said, he said that nothing happened to me, I'm okay. But this my wife, when we were boyfriend and girlfriend, the way she used to dress, the way she used to wear makeup, the undies she used to wear and stuff, that all got my attention. But now we married, she no longer wear those things. She no longer behave the way. Every time I come home, I see her in Lapo. She wearing makeup is not an error. She tie hair tie 24 hours. She's not like before. So when the pastor started talking to her, she said that, but even at that, now I'm married. First, I was in my single life. Now I'm married. You don't expect me to do those things I used to do in my single life. And the man said, I love it. Why can't you do it? She said, I believe that I'm married, because during my counseling, they told me I believe I'm married. So I'm supposed to behave like a married woman. And the man said, even her friends, they try talking to her. She even say she don't want to have a friend. But people believe that, okay, if you marry today, your friend should be also married people. But I believe that, most single people have experienced in married people. That's what I believe. So that was the main aspect of their conflict. They may say, I'm normal, but that is it.
I don't want to believe he enters the relationship on the basis of sex.
No, not sex, of the way he wishes she can dress.
So it shouldn't drive you to do other stuff on relationship, on how she is. We'll talk about her character and behavior.
Okay.
Being a single life, you discover her character, and behavior-wise, she felt that when I enter a marriage now, I'm a changed person. So I should do certain things what she feel a man or married woman should do. So in a sense, the question goes back to him. Was he able to engage his wife? Why all of this? Why all the change? I like it this way. When you're this and this, that's how I like it. Did it happen? We don't know.
He said it happened so many
Okay,
times.
if it happened, so
now.
what approach did he put to that? Let me give you one example with me.
Okay.
When I got married, my pastor preached during the wedding, and he was very blunt. He told my wife, just as you're young, this clothes that you're wearing, the makeup that you're doing, when you get married, continue to do it. Don't change. Because it's the same way Edwin saw you. And don't change that way. The day you change that way, Edwin will start to see different person. Different person. So, in a sense, when you're married, it doesn't change who you are. Whether you Vero, if you married, it doesn't change your name to Ventura. No. You're Vero. The only thing you have to do in your relationship is to live by the principle of marriage. But in your dress code, your appearance, your this, no. Because when a man first saw you, he saw you just as you are. Then you marry and everything has changed. Then you go back to the same sex life. You go back to the same sex life. Let me on the issue of time and communication to the married, but when we were that single, we had all the best of time. I mean, our sex life, our fun time, all this stuff. But we got married now, yeah, one way. No. You see, you should be the same as you were when you enter marriage. Don't change for the other reason. Don't change for obvious reason. The reason most people change, it should be on the basis of if the relationship is not being in the sense of communication taking place, the husband is not paying time, the wife is not paying time, the commitment is not there, but it should not be for anything on the contrary. Always be yourself. Just as you were up to this date, be yourself. The same dress code, the makeup, the kind of clothes you wear, and so forth. That's all. Because if you don't do it, you start to change and start doing things on the contrary. About what's this? Is this a woman I married? Then you start to build another thing we call the red flag. So it is important to be yourself. Whether you are down the road, you should dress this way. When you're married, that does not stop you from dressing. The only thing you should do is to be in line with biblical principle when it comes to marriage.
Okay, people, you hear it from Edwin D. Clarke. He been married for 11 years. So he have experience, or I can say experiences in marriage. And this show is called Marital Vow. It is a season series. And today we're discussing failure in marriage. But before we go, let's take our last discussion before we go. And how many times you think as a married couple that people should have sex in a week? Because I believe I say one time, especially when a woman working. For your own experience. That one interesting for
That's the most controversial statement. Now I told you earlier, marriage is all about agreement.
Okay, you know,
the one most people they say the planning sex.
Okay.
I don't see it that way. I don't see it that way because sex it comes with the mind.
Okay.
The
that's
mind.
That's my saying.
The mind drives you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what you talk about. Example, we talk. I in the room to see my wife coming from the bathroom. So long that mind that boom, I jump on you. That's all. And it gets ways to do that. When you do that, you see one or two resistance. You know the man under the moon and stuff. You know all that's about. You do advances. So you do advances, and there's no resistance. You know what's up. That's in your sense. It's called a one starting agreement. It ought to be verbal agreement. That's starting agreement. But most people say we're planning for 2-3 days and we don't know. I don't see that. But I feel that so long the man drives to that and the partner is in readiness, let it flow. Anytime. So in a sense that if the man blows you every week, let it flow.
That's a thing I wanted to say.
Let it flow.
So within a daytime, if the man blows you like 2-3 times.
Oh yeah, let it flow. Let it flow. So don't guys say, okay, we'll do it Monday. Nah, we'll do it Wednesday. We'll do it. No. I don't
because
see
you men can tie your face. So even if the man for the woman meet like 2-3 times in a week, your face can be tied. No smiling, even the money.
I'm saying this. It doesn't mean that it's a regular stuff now.
Okay,
But it goes with the mind. What the man says about sex, what what you go for. But it doesn't mean that every day stop. Why all him or man? I just see your partner. Even the men say you get tired because I believe when it comes to sex, the man does the greatest work. So the men say you get tired. Yeah. So at the end of the day, I don't want it about the women, this and that, but it happens on the basis of the mind. What the man says about sex, you go for it. But I'm not saying it's a regular everyday thing. No. People get tired and so forth. But I don't subscribe to the issue of playing sex. No, you don't play it. For me, I don't play it. I don't have no specific time. Anytime the feelings come, so long mine.
We go.
Okay, we go. Yeah.
So people, that's a sex deal with the mind. Before we go, is there any advice you want to give to married people or single people out there?
Well, my advice, I have a young family. Been married for 11 years. My wife is a young lady, very beautiful. I'm a young person who have 2 children, 2 girls. There's no rosy marriage. There's no honeymoon marriage. There's no sugar or honey in marriage. Marriage is run by the mind, the understanding, and the patience. The 2 partners cannot be versed at the same time. One must accept the mess from the other. And when the appropriate time comes, we'll go by the issue of communication, discuss it. Mom or daddy, this is why you did. I don't like it. How can we handle that? Daddy, you're doing such thing in a relationship. I feel it affecting relationship. How can we handle that? So important. So my advice to every young Liberian, especially for the young people, the society is tempting all over the place. A lot of things to tempt you. Even some marital homes that fall into today is based on society. But don't let society play with you. Everything rests and falls with you, because if you make a commitment that I'm staying for this, I love this man, I love this woman, now every day in the home will be bread and butter. Now every day in the home you eat the best of chicken, the best of fish, the best of everything. That's why a marriage should be a prayerful marriage. Okay. Because people that sit on the fence want to be like you and the jealousy about to do all sort of things. If your marriage is not prayerful, a lot of things will happen. And when a lot of things happen to your marriage, it leads to a number of issues. Then you, as a person, start to think all this stuff. Oh, my husband this, you're not doing this, all this stuff happening, so I'm here for that stuff. Most people say that the women don't have patience for that. And they started the campaign for that. But I think it requires a focused mind. While you stand for your marriage, protect your marriage in whatever way. Whatever way you think that will bring glory and honor to God, protect your marriage. Don't go for society beliefs, what society say. Don't go with the waves you see, in society. Don't go for the followers you see in society. Because at the end of the day, follower won't help you. You'll be the very follower, you'll be the very society will talk to behind your back when you leave. But the best thing you do to protect your marriage is that create a constant communication channel. Discuss your problems. Discuss your sadness. Discuss your happiness. Call family meeting with your children. You sit and discuss. Let joy, happiness bring the family. But marriage where every day there's a toxic relationship, all sort of things in relationship, it hampers a relationship. So in all that we do, try to communicate. Provide time to your relationship. Express the commitment into your relationship. But all in all, a successful marriage is based on prayers. Constant prayers. It carries you a lot. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Clarke, thank you very much for being on our show. We appreciate so very much. This show is the sister thing. Hope to see you next time too, and that will be different topic. It's all about relationship and marriage. Okay, people, that's the show Marital Vow for you. Just in case you want to have a thing on this program, you can DM me or call the number on the screen. Our next topic will be, not today, our next topic will be to not take family over family. It's all about marriage and relationship. Hope you listen to Mr. Clarke advice. Relationship is all. There is nothing in marriage. Marriage is not bread and butter, like he said. You have to be prayerful in marriage, and you have to communicate. It's important to not listen to outsider Do not allow they say, I say, you say to terminate your marriage. It is all for your good. Some people want to be into that situation. There are people that envy you when they see you, but they will not say it. The heart of a human is desperately wicked. You cannot see it in someone's heart. So all you need to do is to stay focused, communicate, and be prayerful. I'm Veronica Carter, your presenter. See you next time.
Do you take Sean to live together in the union of marriage, to take him as your best friend and partner in life?
I do.
Sean, do you take Nicole to live together in the union of marriage, to take her as your best friend and partner in life?